All right, let's dive into this deep dive into the Eminem Show, shall we?
Sounds good to me.
We're going to explore, kind of unpack what made this album such a phenomenon back in 2002.
Okay.
Whether you're like prepping for some kind of trivia night or just, love the album and want to revisit it or just kind of curious about the stories behind it, get ready.
Yeah.
We're going to uncover some interesting stuff.
Cool.
So,
Yeah,
go ahead.
it's really interesting where Eminem got the inspiration for the Eminem Show from. The Truman Show, the movie. That feeling, of like constant scrutiny and having your life like examined all the time
Yeah.
really resonated with him.
It's ironic, isn't it? Like he achieves this crazy level of fame,
Right.
but then that fame becomes like a source of anxiety
Yeah.
for him. And it's something that you see throughout his work, right? This
This push and pull.
yeah, this push and pull between like craving the spotlight, but also feeling kind of suffocated by it.
Yeah. Exactly. And you can really feel that tension on this album. Like musically, the Eminem Show is a departure from his earlier stuff.
Okay.
Like he brings in these heavier rock influences
Interesting.
and even cites bands like Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Jimi Hendrix as inspiration.
You can definitely hear those influences.
That for sure.
Especially on Sing for the Moment.
Yeah.
Like sampling Aerosmith's Dream On, that was a bold move.
Right.
And he didn't just sample it, like he reinterpreted the guitar solo and
Exactly.
it's woven into the song.
It's like this cool fusion of genres,
Yeah.
It shows how his artistry was changing,
Yeah.
Like he's not just rapping over rock music.
You're right.
He's blending these influences into his own unique style.
It's really cool. Now, the lyrics on the Eminem Show reflect this kind of shift too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
He's dealing with his position in hip-hop, addressing like the envy that people have towards him, exploring this, complex relationship with fame that we talked about.
Exactly. You also see him going into some political commentary on this album,
Oh, yeah.
touching on things like 9/11, figures like George W. Bush, Osama bin Laden.
Interesting.
It's a long way from the kind of more explicitly offensive stuff on the Marshall Mathers LP,
Yeah, it seems like he's trying to show his artistic growth,
Absolutely.
longevity,
Right.
rather than just relying on, shock value.
Yeah, for sure. And this shift in tone actually helped him gain more acceptance in the mainstream.
Yeah.
He was becoming, more than just a controversial figure. People were starting to recognize him as a talented lyricist.
Yeah.
And a thoughtful commentator on what was going on at the time.
Which leads us to, this kind of strange decision to release a clean version of the album.
Yeah.
They censored like a lot of the profanity.
Right.
They even took out whole sentences that were considered sexually suggestive.
It's wild when you consider like the serious themes the album is dealing with.
Yeah, it's almost comical, right?
Totally. It makes you wonder about these attempts to control artistic expression.
Yeah.
Especially in a genre like hip-hop, which has always pushed the boundaries. And the inconsistencies are just, like, mind-boggling.
Yeah.
You have some strong language that makes it through the censorship.
Right.
It just adds this layer of absurdity to the whole thing.
It's like, what's the point?
Exactly.
Huh?
What are they trying to achieve here?
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. Yeah, it really makes you think, like, what's the point of censoring an album that's already dealing with these big, complicated ideas?
Right. Exactly.
Does muting a few words actually change anything?
It's like
It's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound,
Yeah. And what's crazy is
Yeah.
even with all this controversy, the censorship, the Eminem Show, was huge.
Oh, yeah, it was massive.
Commercially.
Biggest selling album worldwide
Wow.
in 2002. Over 1.3 million copies sold in its second week in the U.S. alone.
Wow.
And this was before streaming was even a thing, so those numbers are insane.
It really shows you the impact this album had, right?
Yeah.
People were connecting with it
Yeah.
on a deep level. And it wasn't just the music, it was also Eminem himself. Like
Right,
he
yeah.
represented,
Their cultural.
this rebellious spirit, this willingness to challenge norms,
It was a walking contradiction.
Yeah.
White rapper dominating a predominantly black genre, wanted the spotlight, but hated it at the same time.
Yeah.
He became this symbol for everyone who felt like an outsider,
Yeah.
people who didn't fit in
Yeah.
anywhere.
And he wasn't afraid to like show his vulnerability.
Right.
He talked about his struggles, his relationship with his daughter, addiction.
Yeah.
That made him relatable.
Yeah, for sure. Even with all the the bravado and the aggression. There was this rawness, this honesty that people connected with.
Totally. It was like a reminder that even someone who seems larger than life
Yeah.
is still, human,
Right.
still struggling with their own demons. And, we can't forget the
yeah.
the skills, the technical skills.
Oh, my God.
Wordplay, the rhyme schemes. Crafting these stories, these narratives in his song.
Like a master class in lyricism.
Seriously. And his flow, it's dynamic, effortlessly shifting between like aggression and these introspective moments.
Right. You could go from like spitting fire on one track to like a heartfelt ballad.
Yeah.
Like Haley's song.
Yeah, Haley's song always gets to me.
Yeah.
So raw, so vulnerable. You see the heart of a father who loves his daughter. Like it shows this whole other side to Eminem that often gets overshadowed by the, the controversy and the persona.
It reminds us that artists are multifaceted. They can be complex, contradictory, capable of expressing a whole range of emotions. And the Eminem Show is a testament to that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we've talked a lot about the lyrics, the impact, but what about the music itself? Like, how did those rock influences play out in the production?
Well, he wasn't just sampling rock songs. He was like weaving those influences into the DNA of the music. Live instruments, distorted guitars, heavier drums.
Yeah.
It created this sound that was both familiar and new.
It was different, from the sample-heavy stuff that was popular in hip-hop at the time.
Yeah, he was pushing the boundaries, trying new things, creating something unique.
And those hooks, man, those hooks.
Yeah. Even with all the lyrical depth and sonic experimentation, the songs were catchy.
Yes.
Like Without Me, Cleaning Out My Closet, they became anthems, played everywhere, radio, clubs, all over the world.
It's that combo, right?
Yeah.
Of the artistic innovation and the mass appeal. That makes the Eminem Show so important. Like, it wasn't just a moment in time, it was a shift culturally. It made people confront their biases, engage with uncomfortable topics, and rethink what it meant to be a successful artist in the early 2000s.
And it's an album that still resonates today. It reminds us that great art can be challenging, thought-provoking, and commercially successful all at the same time.
Yeah.
It can start conversations, push limits, and leave a real impact on people and society.
It's crazy to think about when the Eminem Show came out.
Yeah.
Like the early 2000s. It was this weird time where the internet was blowing up, but
Yeah, but social media as we know it
social media
didn't really exist.
Yeah, it wasn't really a thing.
It was like the calm before the storm, right?
Yeah, totally. Like we were on the edge of this huge technological and social shift.
Totally.
And, maybe without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Eminem was tapping into that.
Yeah, he was already talking about the downsides of fame.
Yeah.
The scrutiny, the way the media twists things.
Yeah, it's kind of spooky how much that stuff foreshadows what we deal with now.
Right. With social media and everything.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if the Eminem Show dropped today.
Oh, man.
With, like, Twitter and cancel culture and all that.
Yeah, it's hard to even think about.
I know, right?
How his career would have gone.
Would all that scrutiny have, like, fueled his creativity or crushed it?
Yeah, it makes you think. Could he have been so honest, so vulnerable?
Yeah.
In a world where every word is, like,
Analyzed
and, like, blown up online?
It's a good question. It says something about how art's changed.
Yeah.
In the digital age.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you balance being real with, like, staying sane when it feels like the whole world's watching?
It's something we all kind of deal with, right?
Yeah.
Even if we're not, famous rappers, like, how do we connect? How do we express ourselves but still have boundaries, have privacy?
It's tricky.
It is. In this world where everyone's connected all the time. And the Eminem Show, with all its, complexities and contradictions.
The ups and downs.
Yeah, give us a way to talk about that.
Yeah, it reminds us that fame has a dark side, that being open can be good and bad.
Yeah.
And that the line between public and private.
It's blurry, man.
It's getting blurrier all the time.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Eminem Show, it's obvious this was more than just an album.
Oh, yeah.
It was a snapshot of culture, a moment in time. And it's starting conversations, even now, all these years later.
And it leaves us with a lot to think about. Like, how's the relationship between art, fame, and society changed since the Eminem Show came out?
Yeah.
How do we deal with, expressing ourselves in a world that's more connected than ever?
It's a lot to chew on, but hey, that's what we're here for, right?
Right. to dive deep and explore these ideas.
Exactly. Until next time, keep diving, keep questioning, and keep the music playing.